by Ram Trucks, built to serve.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to First Things First. I'm Jenna Wolf alongside Nick Wright, Kevin Wilds, Brian Westbrook with us on a Tuesday morning. A lot going on today. Adam Silver has weighed in now on the latest with the NBA return. We'll have Rockets GM Daryl Morey stopping by to discuss that and to discuss the new svelte, slimmed down James Harden. And will there be baseball again this season? Tom Verducci will let us know. He will join us as well. We got a lot to get to, but this morning we will start in the NFL with the latest news on Colin Kaepernick. NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell was asked about the 32-year-old still free agent last night and had these interesting words. He said, quote, if he wants to resume his career in the NFL, then obviously it's going to take a team to make that decision. But I welcome that. I support a club making that decision, and I encourage them to do that. If his efforts are not on the field but continuing to work in this space, we welcome him to that table and to help us, guide us, help us make better decisions about the kinds of things that need to be done in the communities. We have invited him in before, and we want to make sure that everybody's welcome at the table and trying to help us deal with some very complex, difficult issues that have been around for a long time. But I hope we're at a point now where everybody's committed to making long-term sustainable change. So, Nick, Roger Goodell encouraging teams to sign Colin Kaepernick. What do you make of what Goodell had to say last night?
So, I guess a couple things primarily. One is, it is immense movement from the commissioner who just this past December, after Cap's workout went awry, Roger Goodell said publicly, we've moved on from Colin Kaepernick. So December saying we moved on to now in June saying he encourages a team to sign him. It's immense movement, and I'm glad Commissioner Goodell has moved on that front. And I can also answer Commissioner Goodell's, almost question within his quote, if Colin wants to resume his career. I can tell you unequivocally, without any question, from firsthand conversations, Colin Kaepernick desperately wants to resume his career that he feels he never should have had to pause while he was fighting for not only social equality, but very specifically trying to shine a light on police brutality against minority communities. So I'm encouraged by this, but it's my job here to give you my honest opinion. My honest opinion is Colin Kaepernick's never going to play in the NFL again. I think there are three primary reasons he'll never play in the league again. And one of we'll start with the first one, which is I think people misunderstand the level of support this cause has nationally. We aren't good at math in this country. Nate Silver, a great mathematician, said Hillary Clinton had a 70% chance to win the election, which means she had a 30% chance to lose it. When she lost it, everyone's like, oh, Nate Silver doesn't know what the hell he's doing. But 30% outcomes happen all the time. But we can't conceptualize that. So when you hear 60% of white Americans currently support the Black Lives Matter movement, you say, wow, how far we've come. What amazing strides we've made. And that's true. But that also means 40% don't. That's nearly 100 million white folks in this country that can't even say, I support Black Lives Matter, much less supporting taking a knee during the national anthem to symbolically combat police brutality. Say this. There's at least, in my mind, 15, 16, 17 owners at a minimum that just immediately cross Colin off the list based on that. The second issue is, I think the scars from suing the league are still very raw. Troy Vincent, who was one of Colin's largest and loudest, I should say, advocates during his, the previous 3 years when he's been out of the league, within the league office, Troy Vincent had a very interesting comment just last night to Adam Schefter when he said, I have advocated for Colin publicly, privately, and then he added, even before a judge, which is an allusion to the lawsuit Colin, I think justifiably, but still the lawsuit Colin brought against the league. I think that burnt some further bridges, either with the league office or certainly with some owners. And then the last one is the closest to a football reason we can come to, which is We now have, what, 4, 5, 6 teams maybe left where the owner would sign off on it, where the GM would sign off on it. You need them to also have a coach that is comfortable and confident enough in his position to have that powerful of a voice enter his locker room. That powerful of a voice enter his locker room, not even as what we would assume to be a starting player. So none of these to me are fair reasons why Colin won't play again in the NFL. I think they're all wildly unfair. And I think he'd be great for a locker room. And I think he actually would drive ticket sales and jersey sales up when you look at the totality of it. Certainly some people would walk, but some new people would come to your team. But if I'm giving you my honest answer is I think January 1st, 2017 was the last game Colin Kaepernick will ever play in the NFL, unfortunately, Wilds.
So Nick, I hear you, and in the back half of your answer had a little bit of optimism to it. I'm far more optimistic. And just to address your coach concern, if you're a coach who cannot coach Colin Kaepernick, you don't belong in the NFL. If he is a great guy in the locker room, this was proven with the 49ers. If you can't coach Colin Kaepernick, if you look at the team owner and say, hey, you know, I know you support Colin Kaepernick, but I can't coach him, then that you cannot do your job and you should be out of the league. So that's first thing. I'm far more optimistic, Nick. I have some football reasons. I have some sea change reasons. One, I think Goodell is encouraging him. He said it himself. So I think we're further along than we ever have been in the last 4 years. Two, Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll said a team called him, so we know at least one team is inquiring. Is there more than one team? I would hope so. I doubt that it's just one team, but I don't know that on any authority. Three, there's some actual football reasons. The game day rosters have gone from 46 to 48, so there's literally more spots available on the game day roster with the new CBA. And then the calendar year, Brian, we've got down, I asked our researcher, Dusty, he said the Jets, Steelers, and Giants have 5 QBs right now. And of course, they all won't make the final roster. But if teams have 5 QBs, I feel like there's more of an opportunity for Colin Kaepernick to get in, prove that he belongs in the NFL, which he always has. So I'm a little bit more optimistic than Nick here.
You know, Kevin, I want to be optimistic as well. I heard Roger Goodell's first statement when he had this video about a week and a half ago about all the mistakes that the NFL has made, not listening to his players, as well as making a statement that Black Lives Matter. The one thing that he didn't talk about in that first video statement was addressing Colin Kaepernick. And I think he tried to rectify that in his statements yesterday by saying he encourages owners to give Colin an opportunity. And it kind of sounds like if Colin could not get on a team, that he would give Colin an opportunity inside the league with helping them with some reform, trying to fight police brutality and systematic racism throughout the NFL and really in the world in general. I have to be honest with you guys, and I appreciate this change. I appreciate him saying that, you know, what he said last year in December until now. There's a big time change, and I think that we have to recognize that and appreciate that. And now I believe that he stands on the right side of things where he's fighting with us to try to make things right in our world. But I am very skeptical, similar to Nick in this way, because at this point, it's easy for Roger Goodell. It's easy for owners to say, you know what, I want to stand with the players, because now we have some of the best players in all of our leagues. LeBron, we saw the video that we had last week with some of the NFL players stepping up and saying, we stand with Colin. We're fighting systematic oppression. We're fighting police brutality. So it's easier for the owners to step up, and Roger Goodell as well to step up and say that to support at this point. It's also easier for a team to send out a statement, to have a secretary write a statement and to send that statement out. It's easy for billionaires to donate millions of dollars. And I know that's a lot of money for a lot of people, but when you're a billionaire, just to give money, that's the easiest thing that you can do. This is what we need at this point, try to help things. We have to, and we need the support of those owners, the support that I think Roger Goodell has given us, and the fight to stop all of these things, systematic oppression, systematic injustices, police brutality as well. We need their support. We need them to stand with us. We don't need you to write a statement. We need you to stand with us. We need your time. We need you to go and advocate with us to the highest level of the criminal system, to the highest level of government. We need your support in doing that. We need the opportunity for you to say, you know what, I'm going to be not only with our players in words and in dollars, but when they go and talk to these communities, I'm going to be standing right there with them. We need our owners to use their political power and influence to start a change. We have so much power, and the owners have so much power. Just think about the power they have when they're asking our communities for money for their stadium. Think about the power that they have when they're fighting for more money in the CBA. We need that type of power at this point to help initiate change in our country. And I think if we do that, then the players won't be as skeptical as some of these owners about some of the things that they're saying. Look, last thing, and I think this is a good quote from a movie that I like. It's called The Color Purple. I'm not sure if you guys have seen it. Whoopi Goldberg told Danny Glover at this point, she said, listen, until you do right by me, everything that you think is going to crumble. And I think a lot of players will remain skeptical until you do right by Colin Kaepernick and give him that opportunity. And I think what Roger Goodell said yesterday is at least a step in the right direction to try to get that done.
Brian, I love everything you laid out. They're big, sweeping changes. But, Nick, you wonder how much of that is predicated on first getting Colin Kaepernick back into the league. Between what Roger Goodell said last night, the nationwide protests, other players in the league voicing their opinions, how much weight does all of that carry? How much of that do owners hear and are hearing to maybe ease a transition for Colin Kaepernick back into this league?
Listen, they obviously hear it. But I don't know that enough of them actually agree with it. And I also think the ones that do agree with it have been convinced, at least some have been convinced, I think erroneously, but have been convinced that Colin is bad for business, in part because they have more of an ear